be a part of the committee besides one member of the city council?
If you look at the job description down the bottom,
Yeah.
Mayor or a designee, this council will port commission president or a designee from the port commission, tribal member representative, a community action team representative, faith-based organization, Mountain Community College, Cascade Locks Business Association, if Brenda would like to do it, the state committee man that works for the Census Bureau, and Hood River County School District. And again, the volunteer position, we'd go and invite those organizations if they wanted to send someone to the committee. That's how that would work. We're trying to make sure that we get all populations in the community some type of link to those populations to make sure that we can get them to fill out the census forms. Did you have any other questions?
Do you have any questions there, Bruce?
No, I guess not. I mean, I'm not sure what the participation rate was 10 years ago, but it's supposed to make the census work. We need everybody to participate, so it's probably a good idea.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 Right.
Opposed? All right.
Okay.
We're gonna have a census.
Your Honor, would you like to serve as chairman of that committee, or would you like to designate or volunteer the one that's not here to be on that committee? We can take that up another time, but I will send out letters to these groups and ask them if they would like to participate.
I'll chair the committee. I think it's pretty important for us to,
Okay.
I think we got burned pretty good on the last time, so it's important for this thing to happen. So yeah, I'll chair it.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Approve contract with David Braun for assessment of the Dry Creek property.
Well, I think we lost Bruce. Oh. You want it?
He'll have to call back in because it's still connected.
Wait for just a second, see if he comes back.
Okay,
Do you have
so,
his cell
so he
number?
should know that he's been disconnected?
Yeah, he can't hear us anymore.
Okay. We maybe hit the
Text him and
phone.
see if he,
There's no football game on.
that's weird. Okay, yay.
You're back.
Yeah.
Are you
I
all
got
right?
my call somehow.
Oh, okay.
Talking that. Okay, we're on the next agenda item.
Which is the approval of the contract with David Braun for assessment of the Dry Creek property.
We have, David Brown is our arborist that marked the trees that needed to be taken down during this lumber cut on the 26 acres that we own up Dry Creek Road. Part of the initial push for this was to assess the whole property to see the potential for a park. And he's come back with, he's done the woodcut portion, now he wants to do the assessment of the rest of the property for the potential uses of it. And this is a contract, and since it's over my limit, I needed to bring it to you for your recommendation and approval.
So where are you looking to get the money for this?
This will come out of the revenue from the woodcut. Since it's all part of that same program.
But we don't expect the revenue to be higher than the money that we took out of
Of the Parks funds, Parks
Yeah,
SDC.
Parks Fund.
That's correct. The revenue we expect to get from the timber harvest is about $40,000. And this would be 33,000 of that, or 3,500. The remainder would go back into the parks. Actually, our accountant suggests we spend that money first on the Gorge Hubs grill, and then take whatever is left required out of Parks SDC. So we will be bringing you a resolution to that effect, but that would limit the amount of money that would lessen the amount of money we would take out of the Parks SDCs to do the Gorge Hubs project. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay.
So as I recall, we took out more money from our Parks STCs than we thought we could
We
put
could
back in.
replenish some of it. We knew we weren't going to be able to replenish all of it, but we have a lot of money in our SDC, so it's almost $95,000.
Okay. So, does anybody want to make a motion on this?
And I'll move to approve the contract with David Brown Consultant for the assessment of the city's Dry Creek property for potential future uses.
I'll second that.
Okay, so it's been moved to second to approve a contract with David Braun for assessment of the Dry Creek property. Discussion. Linda?
So he's going to just assess it and tell us what we could do with it, or what?
Yeah, he's going to tell us what the potential uses could be if we cleaned up this area here, or we cleaned up that area there. There's lots of trails running through there. There are more trails now because the logger has been put some roads in and we're getting trees out. There is rock piles. There's just a general, we're going to have to clean up the property in one way or another in order to make it usable for whatever those uses may be, and he's going to give us that assessment of what could be done with the trees that are there.
Richard?
Yeah, I would just like to add that it seems to me that it'll also make the property more valuable for future, whatever we have in store for the property in the future. It will add value to I think it's a good steward of the land personally.
Well, you need to know what's on it. We're not going to sell it. I mean, this was a gift to us.
Right. But we don't know, when we're all gone, who knows, maybe in the future.
Were there any when it was gifted to the city, were there any,
Restrictions?
yeah?
No.
I thought there were.
No, the family just gave it to us.
Bruce, do you have any comment on this?
Just that, if we don't know what we can use it for or the potential it has, it really, we're just stuck on it. We cleared it and it'll just sit there. So I think it's well spent money to get some options on, what we're going to do with it.
I think the ideal thing for it is by having a natural resource assessment. If we want to take the next step and turn it into a park, we're going to have to do that anyway. They're going to want to know what's in the park that would be attractive to people and that people would want to see. And this is what that's going to give us.
Tom, help me understand exactly where this is at. So we're going up Dry Creek River.
Yes.
Is it up on the flat
Yeah.
between the
So what
road?
they cut was, between the road and to the west. So when you make the corner there at the old chlorinator,
Yeah,
just before you make that corner, that's our property there too. They've gone into that. And that's what, the road became the fire line. So on that east side of the road, that has been touched by fire. On the west side of the road, that all burned. And so they've already taken a lot of timber out of there. It goes across kind of a flat and hilly and rough, and then it goes up a pretty good slope up towards the towers. And when I was up there, they haven't cut all the way back through it because it goes all the way to the power line, actually beyond the power line. And I would say, I'm probably not totally accurate with it, but the road, Dry Creek Road, think of our thing as a big rectangle. It's not exactly a rectangle, but the road almost splits it in half. So the west side of that road was all burnt. The east side of the road, which is about half the property, something like that, is not burnt. And on the east side of the road, parts of it, Dry Creek flows through. So it's got a nice little flat down there on the bottom of it where it goes out flat for a ways and then it drops off pretty good down into Dry Creek. We own all of that there. So the pieces of Dry Creek we own on the east side. And none of that has been I think logged for firewood over the years, but there are still some large fir trees in there, but there's a lot of maple and alder and that kind of, it's pretty brushy. It's pretty rough country to the east. But you're all part of it's all this flat. Part of the west side drops, goes up real steep, and part of the east side drops right off into Dry Creek. When you're up on the flat, being up there, I hear the freeway a little bit, but not a lot. If I can talk to somebody, I communicate with somebody, I know there's a freeway down there, but it's not real loud. If you get down, once you drop over the hill on the Dry Creek east side, because now you're in behind the way station, you're by it, you can hear once you get down there, you can hear the freeway pretty well. I don't know if you move back in and you're close to Dry Creek, then you mostly hear Dry Creek and not the freeway so much. So it seems, and to me, it's 26 acres, zone residential, 1 acre or a house per acre. Is that correct?
I don't remember what it's on.
Yeah, I think it's zone. I'm pretty sure it's zone residential, but we could make it into, if we decide we want to make it into a park. The problem with residential is that it'd take a ton of money to
Put all the infrastructure.
yes, but part of even as a park, the road going up there is a tough bumpy old gravel road trying to get up to it, and it's pretty much a one-way road going up with gravel. So even to say people are going to drive up here and use this, that's not going to be the easiest. It's not the easiest thing to do, or really the best.
So this is going to be a walk-in type?
I would say possibly walking, but there would be an access road, but it wouldn't be one you would want people traveling over a lot. And parts of that road, you can't pass each other. So it's strictly, especially going up. I mean, when you get up off the pavement from there up to the first flat, that's one way. Just one vehicle at a time.
Is that Water Tank Road?
Yep.
Is that what you're talking?
Yep.
It's called Water Tank.
Yeah, it's Water Tank Road. Yeah.
Okay,
Dry Creek Road, Water Tank Road,
I got you.
goes on up to the Dry Creek waterfall. But they've got a gate on it right now, right at the power line. It's gate and locked, and a lock gate, right there as you approach the power line.
Is it-
That road
Is it our
is
gate
pretty
or
rough.
BLM? Or-
It's probably BPA, and it's probably a combination of BPA and Forest Service. Might be a Forest Service gate. Because some of that, our property abuts Forest Service property.
Okay.
And on the lower end, our property abuts some Tweets property that has the little pond, down there. They own, and we're right next to some property they have there too.
This
Yeah, okay,
There's this way station.
okay. Is this,
This one's.
okay. All right. I got you.
And I would say that, yeah, the way it is right now would be very limited access by vehicles could get up there, but you would certainly wouldn't want a lot of vehicles traveling up and down. 'Cause
Well, we can't use Dry Creek Road because that crosses private property.
Is that right?
It goes across Sam Smith's 80 acres.
So what would be the legal access to the property?
We would have to come up through it. Well, the mayor and I were just talking about some potential acquisition of property between that property and the road, where the hikers can go around and come on it on the trails, but the Dry Creek Road is not public access. So we'd have to figure out how to come.
But the city has access to
The
it.
city has access to it because it's our property and we have to keep it gate. But the gate's clear at the other end of it, so we don't
Right.
ever have to do that. But we have access to it because
And they have had, the gate, as you know, has been down there just above Swanson's at times too. They've had the
Yeah.
cable across there. They just don't use that cable right now. But there is a solid gate right there at, as you come to the power line. And they've got a little turnaround right there. You can turn around so you cannot drive past the power line. Or you can't drive onto the power line.
the future uses or future development of the property would include access. And then whatever else you're going to do with the property.
But I would say access to the property for us would be, as far as the road access, would be really tough.
Yeah, it would be, we'd have to work something out with the property owner or
Yeah,
compensation,
yeah.
or
Or, well, even at that, even if we work somebody out, you know the road up there.
Yeah.
There's that one spot that's pretty steep, pretty narrow. You know, and you can certainly cut into the bank there and widen the road up. But you're looking at dollars trying to get up there. Now, I was trying to figure out, I was looking at something where, the locals could go have some primitive, you can't get out of town because everything's all full up everywhere. The locals could get up there and have some primitive camping, some local camping. And maybe that's what would be foot traffic. But what would happen with this money would answer a lot of those questions of how the access would happen, what are our opportunities, what can we do with that piece of property. I frankly look at that, walking out in it, I think it's really cool, primitive. It's a really cool, primitive, that's within our city limits that we can go out into and use. The thing that I worry about on it is when you open something up like that, the security of it, how do we keep it secure? So yeah, and this may be able to even answer.
I don't think it'll answer that question.
It won't answer that
Just
question.
the natural resources that are there, not the.
That's all it's gonna do, okay.
Not the
We're gonna figure that out on our own.
So it sounds like a costly venture.
In total, yes, the whole scope of the work is.
I would maintain the natural resources are there, but can we, how much money it would take to take advantage of natural resources, I don't know. That's my question, is what it would cost. Now, I had talked to Leif Fox and scout troops, and he believes that his troop, a troop that he's part of, in connection with a couple of troops, that's what a lot of these people do. A lot of troops like to go help communities, and part of being an Eagle Scout, Scouting is all about trying to help people out. He went up there with me and we looked around a little bit, and he thought that it would be a great project for a scout troop to go out, clean some trails up, clean some campsites up. So he felt that that'd be a very doable thing for them if we chose to do something like that. But it's 26 acres. It's going to be tough for us to develop. Tough for anybody
That's
to,
why they gave it.
because you don't have a, because I'm pretty sure that that land up there is a house per, so you could have 26 houses there.
It is rural residential, which is,
Is a house per acre or more?
I think it's more than that, but I don't remember the definition at this point.
So not very, and really the land isn't, there's a place where you can put houses up there, but the access to it, again, anybody who accesses, that you gotta, they're gonna have to go up Dry Creek Road, and that road is not gonna, but again, they're gonna have to deal with private ownership, trying to get that access. But I think there's things that we can do. There's a, just as Gordon mentioned here, there's a piece of state property, this side of the, west of the scales.
Yeah.
And they have kind of a little yard there where they can put things up. There's an area and there's a triangle. So there's pieces of property. And if we could acquire that triangle, it still gives them plenty of space to store and put things at. That triangle could give us access, help us access for emergency road to get around town. In emergency, they got a gate there for the chemicals and all that to be dumped into.
It's like hazmat.
Yeah, so it's that land just east or west of that. But it allows enough land there for a road, but also enough land there for a parking lot east of the hazmat thing, or west of it, that we could access, and our property's accessible from right there, if we could acquire that triangle. So we could acquire that triangle, it'd be a parking spot, and then people could hike up into this, up into those campsites. There wouldn't have to access them by road. So I don't know, any other? So all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Thank you.
So we're all ayes on the, all right. Check her out. Okay, what do we got here? Interested citizens. Very good.
I wanted to bring to council and everybody's attention, the situation that happened on Sunday. As a citizen and a business owner, it was rather embarrassing. And I don't know the outcome of it, so I don't know. What happened is, just start off, I left my house approximately 8:30 or so, and I seen the commander vehicle for the fire department pass me as I was backing out of my driveway. So I assumed for the run on Sunday that maybe they were working. But a lady collapsed right in front of my shop on Sunday that was in the marathon with stroke-like symptoms. And we had absolutely no coverage, and the bridge was closed. So even Skamania County had trouble getting. It took like 25 minutes to get this lady help before Skamania County finally did arrive, but they wound up getting stuck up on the bridge and all that. But the two ladies that were witnesses to it, I don't know who they were, and I don't know who the lady was that this happened to either. But they said that they would launch a complaint against the city of Cascade Locks because 911 had to be called twice, and it was ridiculous. I mean, this lady, I mean, she had nobody around her. No one knew who she was or anything. And she was young, between 20 and 30. I know she got transported out of here. I think the first aid tent that was down in the park for the run, it took so long that guy got word of it and managed to come up, and he said that he would be contacting someone about the situation too. So one, I wondered, for future events where we got the bridge closed and we invite 1,500 people into our town, why aren't we covering it better? And two, do we allow the commander vehicle to be drove around for personal use? Or, I mean, if I see the commander vehicle and then there's no coverage, an hour and a half later, what, I don't know. And as a resident and a business owner, and being in that situation, it was really embarrassing. And not to count, I don't know if the lady lived, I don't know what the outcome was of the lady at all. We couldn't get hold of family, we couldn't get hold of anybody on her phone, she couldn't talk, none of this. And she had her left arm that she couldn't move. So I wanted to bring that to your guys' attention because I understand that for businesses and all this stuff that it's nice to have all the tourists and stuff here, but if we don't have coverage and stuff like this happens, don't we have some liability issue going on here? I don't know. But I've been talking about fire and EMS for a long time and I think if we know that we're closing down the bridge and that Skamania County don't have access to us because of that, then we would have had this town covered somehow, especially inviting 1,500 people in here. And that's just the runners. We're not counting the family and everybody that's watching. So I wanted to bring that to your guys' attention because I don't know if anybody knew about it or not. But I wanted to bring it to your guys' attention, and maybe the ladies will file a formal complaint against the city. I don't know. And then my other question was, I'm sure I could look it up and stuff, is for council members. Because you get voted in to be a council member and you run for the position because you actually want to do it. And I sat in a lot of council meetings and I've seen council members have lots of unexcused absence. How many do we allow before, like, we get a member in here that actually wants to be part of a city council? Is there like a ruling or something?
Yes, it's in our council guidelines.
Okay. Because I know that there's been several unexcused and, we need that person in here. That's why we have the positions, right? Because if we don't need it, then we wouldn't have the position, I'm assuming. So that's all I have. I don't know if you guys have any questions.
Do you know if she was one of the runners?
She was a runner.
She was one of the runners.
She was one of the runners. She was about a mile from the finish.
So about what time was that?
We opened at 10 and it was right after we opened, so I would say, and I could probably look at my phone when I called 911.
Well, the
And
bridge
that
was
was-
open by
Yeah, the bridge was open by then. but maybe
They
a
were
lot of
still
traffic.
blocked. I don't know what the thing was, but you could see the ambulance up there.
You saw the ambulance on the bridge?
Yeah, the people that were out there with this lady, because I'm trying to run my business and call 911, which that's a whole nother story. They watched the ambulance sitting there, like trying to get its way through the bridge.
Now, I left town at 10 o'clock and the bridge was running.
Yeah,
Yes.
the bridge is open.
Yeah, I
The
don't-
bridge was open and there were cars crossing. Now, this run is run by a promoter.
10:18 is when I called 911.
Thank you.
This run has a promoter that's supposed to be handling all this stuff. Why would it be the city's problem? He has insurance and stuff that covers all of this race.
I can't answer the question. That's why I'm bringing it to you guys, because irregardless, I would think, irregardless of what they should be doing as a city, like if we got this many people, even if it wasn't a run, let's go for just a weekend. We got all these people in town and stuff, like, something's going to happen, and, I don't know what the solution is. I know you guys don't know what the solution is, but this is something that shouldn't be put on the back burner.
What I mean is, as the promoter of this event, he
I know
should have been in
typically,
contact with our EMS. It's,
Well, it's
Well, we can ask that question. We'll ask.
Well,
Is it Gordon, aren't you the acting
We'll ask
fire
that
chief right now?
But we'll ask the
We'll
question.
ask that. We'll ask those questions.
That might vary
Yeah.
from state jurisdiction, because I know like I was in the Army and I was a medic and I covered civilian runs, and they were usually requested by the promoter. So that's there, but we're here, and I don't know, maybe it's just an oversight, maybe somebody didn't really think about having a ambulance that's dedicated for the 1,500 people that's here, which I believe should be done. Maybe, you know, that's just my personal belief.
So,
And I agree that there's something that
well, let's find out
needs
what
to look
happened.
at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll look
Yeah.
into it and find out what's going on here. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Okay, reports and presentation, city committees,
None?
city administrator Zimmerman report.
Well, Mayor, would you like to report on what you did last Tuesday, or Thursday, what it was? Tuesday.
What'd I do Tuesday? Oh.
You signed some paperwork.
Well,
the,
your first one in there?
Yes.
Yeah, we signed paperwork to move ahead on on our sewer project, from the funding end of it.
So the paperwork he signed, this is the letter with all of the paperwork and all of the issues that we have to address in the next 30 days. So we are moving forward with our wastewater project. We will get all of this information back to the USDA that they require, and then we will move forward. The loan is for $3,247,111, and there is a grant portion of $1,002,489, which is a 23.5% grant at 40 years over 2.75% interest rate. When we first started this and we had our one-stop, the mayor was there 2 years ago, we were looking at only a $2.78 million loan with a $1.4 million grant, 33%. Because of the delay that it took, their end of their fiscal year, the USDA Rural Utility Services didn't have that much money left. So that's why our grant is down to 23.5%. It means we're borrowing $463,864 more. Again, the cost will be totally dependent upon the construction bids, but the way the bids have been running lately, they've been running 15-20% over engineering estimate. So what I'm suggesting to you is we don't do anything at this point with adjusting the rate, that we wait to see what the bids are. Also, understanding that next year we're going to apply for a community development block grant for $2.5 million for this wastewater project. If we are successful in getting that grant, then we would only need to borrow or finance from the USDA $1.75 million, basically. And hopefully, if they kept the same 23%, we'd have $411,000 in grant, leaving $1,338,000 to finance over 40 years. If we don't change the rates, we can pay that off then over 20 years, 25 years. But again, I can't tell you all of that until we're successful with the community development block grant. We're gonna keep working the process and doing all the things that we have to do. I just wanted to let you know that we are finally committed by the U.S. Department of Agriculture Rural Utility Services for this project.
And I would just say on that, because we worked with them on the water project, and now work with them on, Gordon has developed, in my opinion, Gordon has developed a really good relationship with this group, and this group they truly are trying to do everything they can to make it as easy as they can on the citizens of the Cascade Locks to do this project. So they have and they continue to look for opportunities and present Gordon on how to approach it, where to go after, and again, we ran out of the money this year, but there's a new
Funding.
there's a new funding source coming, and they're gonna, and I believe they're gonna do all they can to help us with that. Not everybody they work with are easy to work with, but but they have worked really well with Gordon. Gordon has worked really well with them, so, I'm of the belief that if there is anything, if there is any possibilities of anything in here, we have a good chance of coming our direction. So I'm hoping that in the long run here, we ease up our burden.
So the work has to be done and we're going forward.
Okay, so that's the best case scenario.
Yes,
The worst case scenario is that we end up
going up another $2.
going 6250, and we were planning on doing 6050
Right,
for 40 years.
yes,
So that's the worst case scenario.
that's correct.
Best case is we get the 2.5
Yeah,
and pay that off in 20 years.
yeah, would
That's
be
huge.
huge. At the $60.50 level.
Yeah.
But I also believe, or as I understand it, I don't know, Gordon, correct me if I'm wrong on it, but if we really do a good job with tracking the census and get the numbers that we believe that we have here, that should help us towards
That'd be future resources.
potentially something for a future opportunity.
Yes, not this one.
Right.
But the next project, infrastructure.
Oh, not it, I thought it
No,
could
not,
possibly.
not this one.
Okay, all right,
But that's
never mind that.
that's the block grant, I think, that can really help us with it. And
Okay.
even if we get $1 million in the block grant and cut down what we're borrowing, we're gonna be better off. But, again, we won't know until we apply next summer. We have to do a environmental impact and have the engineering done on this water project for the state, because the state will not accept the environmental impact that was done for the feds. So, we'll get that figured out and going forward.
All right,
So that's number one. Number two, on the remaining Sister Water project, this is the exact same report I gave you last time. We have not yet gotten back an answer from the State Oregon Health Authority on whether or not we can leave the well where it is. I just didn't want you to forget. Number three, Rebecca Gehrman, our paramedic, is leaving at the end of the month. We had advertised for a new paramedic and we had 3 applications. Captain Logan is interviewing those 3 and will come back with a recommendation. In order to get a paramedic back here as fast as we can in place, when I get the recommendation from Captain Logan, I will call each of you and request approval for that. So that's the first portion, if that's okay to do that.
Okay with me.
Okay, thank you. And secondly, our accounting clerk, Lisa Dunn, left us on Friday, and I need permission to advertise for that position.
yeah,
Okay. Thank you. Herman Creek Storage Building, this is a dollar item. I don't know if you've looked at the storage building where both water and sewer and some electrical equipment is stored in the building out at the end of Creek Lane. There are 2 doors that we've been trying to rebuild so they look better. The problem is when the building was constructed, the roof comes down this way, and right at the end of the roof is where the header was. So the rain funneled right onto the wood for the header for the doors. It is now deteriorated to the point where we don't know if it's going to hold up the roof more. It's definitely going to fail this winter if we don't do something about it. We've had a preliminary engineering estimate to extend the roof, either replace the tin so that it comes all the way over the header, or do some kind of structure so that it goes over the header, and replace the header and rehang the doors at about $75,000. We do have funds available in our capital reserve and sewer, water, property, and sewer, water, electric, and property. We would split the costs up between those 4 entities because they all store stuff in that project. But I need your permission to go and it would be a design build. We're going to ask a contractor to come in and say, replace the beams and extend the roof, rather than getting an engineer in here to, the contractor would have an engineer that he would work with to shorten the time frame and lessen the cost in the design build.
I have a curiosity question. Is that It's on the same property as the wells, or it's separate?
Yes, it's right next to the well.
Yeah, but it's part of that parcel.
It is part of that parcel. And by doing this work, it's gonna make that building, we'll make it look like it fits with the rest of the Hermit Creek building, so it looks better. Right now,
It's a sore thumb.
it is a sore thumb. You're right. But it houses a lot of our equipment and we need to replace,
Well, including your generator.
including the generator. And if the header fails and we can't get to the generator, we're talking about liability. We're not gonna be pumping sewer,
Is
so.
it the header just over the two sliding doors?
Uh-huh. If you go out there and look, you can see it where it sags.
Right, so, what is it, 20 feet long?
Probably, something like that. But you have to jack up the whole thing, because you have to take out the whole header, which means, and then replace it with a metal header or do something like that, and then extend the roof and replace the tin. If we can get it done for cheaper, we'll do it for cheaper, but that's,
That just sounds like a lot, but I'm not a roofer, so.
well, I had an engineer give me an estimate, so,
All metal.
There's gonna be it's a lot because it's a building that an engineer has to get involved in. So it's not you just going and putting something up that you know to build. You gotta pay for a guy to come in and go, this is how you gotta do it.
Yeah.
And frankly, I bet a big chunk of this thing is gonna be the engineering of it as opposed to materials and service.
What's the building worth?
a building that size, probably 800,000. It's, the buildings, we're building the 30,000, 40,000 square foot buildings now for, 2 million, 3 million, 4 million out in the industrial park. It's if you're gonna do it right. This is not done right. It's just a shed. So the potential, you could, I don't know, 800,000 is a swag.
At one time, it was leased out and somebody used it as a garage.
Wasn't there a business in the back of it?
No,
That's not where Gary.
that's always, no, it's the next building
The
over
next building, yeah,
towards the river.
the,
It's always been for city property.
the port spent like $150,000 to take their storage building and turn it into a flexible manufacturing building.
So power and water use it, both of them. Power, water, sewer, they all.
They all do.
All-
We all have stuff
all
stored
use
and
it.
electric. Yeah, everybody's in there. So, thank you. We will see if we can get that done as fast as we can so we don't collapse during the winter. And again, we broadcast our council meetings and share us on Facebook. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor and City Council comments. Bruce, comments?
Well, yeah. The last couple weekends, I've been driving by the fire hall, and I see the doors open, and I really like the way that looks, so I want to say thank you, Captain Logan, for that change. I mean, it looks like there's business in there, and I think it's a good look. And this is a little late coming, but I've been thinking about it every time I go up Benson Road. Thank you to the staff and to the mayor for bringing up those potholes. It's so much nicer to climb that hill now. And yeah, there was a lot of people in town this weekend. And thank you to the staff, and geez, I saw Lisa on Friday. It's too bad, miss her. But thanks for making our job so easy, and that's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Jules?
I spoke to Captain Logan a few days ago. He said there has been some interest in volunteering, and that makes me happy. I don't know what's come of it, but at least people are talking to him about it. There's bigger volunteer sign out in front of the fire hall. I have seen the doors open, seen them around a little bit more. Been hearing them respond to more calls. I do understand what happened this week, and thank you for saying something about it. Thank you for helping her. This next weekend's gonna be probably a lot busier than this past one, but hopefully it's a lot of foot traffic and not a bunch of cars. There'll probably be a lot of cars, but mainly foot traffic with PCT days. I've also noticed a lot more law enforcement patrols around neighborhoods. He's driving down the side roads, run into him a few times on my road, some other roads. I'm liking that. It's not just sitting down on the main road nailing people for speeding. So it seems like you see them out more often, people might behave a little bit more. Hopefully that'll help a little bit.
Also, kudos to the fire captain. It sounded like there's a lot of activity out here. Lots of sirens here lately. So they must be doing something right. And also, looks better when the doors are open. Looks like somebody's there. There's some activity. And so keep up the good work. Happy to see you.
Richard?
Well, everybody already said everything I was going to say, so I want to thank the staff for all the hard work they do. I want to especially thank Gordon, because I know sometimes his job is thankless. Gordon is very connected. That's what I really enjoy about Gordon. And I just want to let him know that this council appreciates all the work that he does, and all the chasing all the loose ends and everything. Well, and also I think that might be something in the future that we need to look at with promoters, and that is some type of medical coverage. That's all I have.
Linda?
I wanted to bring it up. I had a citizen stop me and ask me what was going on at the Overlook Park parking, and she wasn't impressed. She said that it, and I drove in there, and the parking spaces in front of the post office, you will have to be real careful that you don't run into the sidewalk. I mean, when you back out into the middle sidewalk.
Okay.
She thought that was not good. She said it was taking away from people trying to get into the post office. And I said there would be a lot more parking on the other side of that, but that didn't seem to matter to her. Because it looks like you're only going to have 3 parking spaces, maybe 4 in front of the post office before you're, butted up against that.
Right.
Back.
That's why there's 10 spaces on the other side of the sidewalk.
Yeah, I understand that, and I explained that to her. But still, she didn't like the design because when you do back out, you're going to have to, if somebody's close, there's not a lot of room between the parking space and that sidewalk area. I'm just passing that on.
Typical lane, it's a parking lot.
Yeah.
It's not a highway. Okay, thank you, I appreciate that.
I told her that, I explained to her it was going to be a nice addition to the town. A shower, a restroom, community restroom things. And, I tried to, and I do think it'll be an improvement, but I also noticed that when I drove in, it was hard to get around a car to get out of that parking space. So I'm just passing that on. Yeah, there were a lot of cars in town, but I had no problem leaving town.
Me either.
Getting out, I timed it just right so I could get out onto the freeway and not come back until it was all over. So that's just my pet peeve. I don't like those things. I don't like my town being taken over, but that's just me. And then I want to thank the city, the staff, and I'm sorry Lisa is leaving because I really liked Lisa. I thought she was very personable and it's nice to have a staff that when you walk through the door, they actually talk to you. So I thought that was nice. But I'm very sorry that she's leaving because I thought she kind of worked in good. And then always thank you. Oh, and the vehicle on my street that I asked to, I see that it's moved.
Okay, thank you.
But then I see there's another one that's spotted. But it's moved and it helps because now you can actually get down the street without hitting a vehicle, and hopefully a fire engine or EMS vehicle will be able to get down the street instead of at the end of the street and having to walk up to a person in need. So, and I want to bring this up too. I want to, winters, we're almost through with summer now, and then we're going to go into winter, and I don't know about anybody else's street, but Sunset is very hard to get up and down when it snows because people don't want to park in their parking spaces. Well, I'm kind of an oldie, and I get out and plow mine out. If anybody needs help on that street, I'm certainly have 2 little boys and husband with a plow and can help out. But we need to make it very well known to citizens that, and I think there's an ordinance, parking, when it needs to be, plows need to go through, that you shouldn't have your vehicle on the street. Is there not a ordinance?
I'm not sure what it applies to. I know it's for arterials. I'm not sure about streets like Sunset. I'd have to.
Well, I think we've gone through it before, but anyway, we need to make it known to our citizens that you're not helping anybody. Maybe you're helping yourself, but you're not helping the employees that need to plow these streets out so people can get in and out. And maybe in our newsletter that goes out, we can put it in big bold letters, please. And then thank you for helping. I'm sure you helped because it's gone, but
I wrote him a letter.
thank you. And that's all I have. Thanks.
So on, I would hope as quick as you get some information from the EMS side,
Yeah,
on
I'll
us,
send it out to you.
get that on Channel 3, be able to get something out to the citizens so they know at least what we've got going on. But it would seem to me that when obviously somebody came up from down there, and I'm sure that if there was a person that was in the run, they do have a first aid station, and the fact that a first aid person showed up there is what they're supposed to be doing. And I would hope that they maybe had more than a first aid, that they're an EMT type person, but apparently not. Yeah, apparently not. So I would just say, when we have a big event like that, obviously, we are shorthanded here in general. And I would try to put to the port city and everyone when we have a big event that people take a look at the potential of needing medical aid, and the fact that we may not be able to cover that. Because we do have difficulty even covering ourselves, as we know. We have a hard time even covering ourselves. But Captain is looking at some paramedics right now to take. So we're down at least a paramedic, right? Already, before the next one leaves.
No, we have 3 right now. We have 1 paramedic and 2 EMTs.
Right.
And
But we had 2 paramedics.
we had 2
Right.
paramedics, and Jessica left. And so with that, we're replacing Jessica as a paramedic, and we're replacing Rebecca as a paramedic, so that we have 2 paramedics and 2 EMTs. Both EMTs are working on their paramedic certifications. It's gonna just take a year or so to get that, so we're headed in the right direction.
But even right now, though, we are down a paramedic. So
But
it makes
still,
it that much harder for us to cover.
Yeah, an EMT could have responded,
Sure.
to do basic life
Sure.
support, so.
And we need to find out what.
Yeah, I don't know
what
why
transpired.
they
Yeah.
did, because they knew this event was coming. So I have to ask them questions tomorrow.
Okay, because again, we have one as big or bigger coming up this weekend. So we are not done with big events, and Cascade Locks in general is not done with big events.
Nope, that's true.
I just, with Gordon, we went out to the opening of the next section of the scenic highway for hiking and biking. And there were quite a few hikers, quite a few bikers on that section from Wyeth to Lindsay Creek. So now right now we're open from Cascade Locks to Vienna. And I think within a couple of years, they're looking at being opened up to Mission Point. And it's gonna take quite a bit longer than that to get to Hood River. But we're becoming, again, from the tourist end of things, we're becoming a destination place for people who want to bike and see scenery and be part of this whole thing. So, however we like or dislike it, it's here, and we need to continue. We need to continue to take a look at, certainly from the emergency services end on it, how we can best how we can best serve. And I think we continue to push. Gordon's involved in that. The port's involved in that, in pushing for more aid to the gorge in general. Not just us, but the gorge in general. You know, one of the things that we do have that a lot of people wish they had that they don't have is from the National Scenic Act, they've only got one real fire crew in the gorge, and it's based here at Cascade Locks. Students would love to have a white sandal. Lots of people love to have that one, but it's based here, so we at least have wildland firefighter crew and truck here that's based right here at the work center here at Cascade Locks. But having said that, that's just one small crew to take care of the entire scenic area. I think that's the only one they've got in the whole entire scenic area. So unless they've got something based out of Hood River, but I'm not sure of that. I know this one is. So again, Gordon, Port, and are trying to push for better coverage from the emergency services in because of the amount of people that are moving this, and these communities, none of them. I mean, Hood River can't, let alone us. Hood River County can't even maintain the amount of incidents that come before them within the county. So it's not slowing down. As you can tell, we're going out in our town. It just keeps growing. But with that, it's our job to keep an eye on them. And so we appreciate getting the information. I wasn't aware of it, but that's how it helps us move ahead and look into and ask questions and try to correct some of these issues that come our way. So I appreciate you bringing it up, Brenda. And yeah, the bridge run was I think there wasn't 1,500. I think they said they had 2,000 runners. It is a very popular run, and I believe now that we've extended more trail to the east of us, that opens us up for a range of events that could use that trail that goes by us and through us. So, yeah. Anyway, I guess that's it for me there. And yeah, I didn't know that you were losing nothing shed.
We didn't
Of course, I don't get over here every day, but
surprise to all of us.
One of those things, people move on. But, you know, we do appreciate staff. We thank everybody for what they do. Okay, other matters. Is there any executive session?
No.
Open for adjournment.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
Been moved to second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?